in the spreading of the message of Swami Tyagananda. For the last 10 years he is in USA and is at present the head of our Boston Center. We request Swamiji to present his contemplative thoughts for the benefit of devotees, monks and all of us. Swami Tyaganandaji Maharaj.
Om Devi Sarada Devi Ramakrishnam Jagadguru Padapadme Sayo Shritva Pranamami Mahimah. Today is probably the holiest day in the Utsav list of the Ramakrishna Math Mission, and gathering here on this holy and sacred spot, the mind begins to think about the power of the divine. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in the Ramakrishna Kathamrita, we find one day Thakur invites Girish Ghosh and Narendra to have a discussion about the descent of the divine, about avatar. Girish Ghosh believes that God does come down in the form of human, it takes a human form, but Narendra, influenced by Western philosophical thinking, did not believe that. And then there's some details about the discussion that took place, but there was no real conclusion. And in fact, conclusion is difficult, because how and when and why God comes down on this human plane, although various answers have been given, no particular answer has been completely satisfactory. In some devotional schools, for instance, they believe that it's not just the devotee who hungers for God's love and care and protection, but God also is equally or perhaps more hungry for the devotion of the bhaktas. And it is this longing of the Bhagwan, of God towards the devotees, that brings about the descent of the divine. Some other people believe that there is really no purpose behind God's coming down. It's just a leela. It's we human beings who need a purpose to do something. But God does not need a purpose. It's just a divine play. So the avatar is an expression of the divine play of God. Yet another view about why God comes down is that God is the divine teacher. In the Yoga Sutras, there is this aphorism, Sapurvesham api guruhu. God is the teacher of all teachers. That is why when we sometimes refer to Thakur as Guru Maharaj, it's very appropriate. He is the teacher of all teachers. So, seeing God as, seeing the descent of the divine as God's coming down to teach humanity, somehow seems to resonate more for those of us in the times in which we live. Then there are the two well-known verses in the Gita, in the 4th chapter, which seem to give a very clear explanation about why God comes down. Very well-known verses, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham parikranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Seems very straightforward verses. In the case of some of the classical avatars like Krishna and Rama, we can clearly see how the Vinasaya cha Dushkritam. Ram and Krishna, they really demolished a lot of Rakshasas and demons. So that part is very clearly understood. But then, when we come towards more historical avatars, we see that Gautam Buddha, Sri Ramakrishna, they did not kill anybody. So, how do we then go about understanding it? And then of course we resort to interpretation, saying that the negative virtues such as jealousy, hatred, selfishness, anger, violence, these are demons, these are inner demons, these are Rakshasas, and Buddha and Ramakrishna and others, they destroy these inner Rakshasas. Then about the Dharma Samsthapana, that God comes down to establish Dharma. If we really begin to question or try to analyze what this Dharma Samsthapana means, we might run into more trouble. In Krishna's life, for instance, we see that the Bhagavata says that immediately after Krishna's death, Kali Yuga started. Now, classically we know that there are these 4 yugas. First is the Satya Yuga, then Treta, Dwapara and Kali. We are told that Dharma was the strongest, was very firm in Satya Yuga. When it declined a little bit, that was Treta. When it declined still further, it became Dwapara. And when it was at its lowest, so to speak, that is the Kali Yuga, where we are all supposed to be in. Now, if Krishna was born in Dwapara Yuga, if he established Dharma, and then immediately after his death, instead of the upward turn, the Kali Yuga started. So, this is not to say that Dharma Samsthapana is not a right concept. All that I am suggesting is that we need to find creative ways of interpreting what this Dharma Samsthapana really means. Because we don't really see too much of a change in the nature of the world even after the avatar comes. Even after the descent of Sri Ramakrishna or the descent of the earlier forms of the divine, the basic nature of the world doesn't seem to have changed. So what exactly is this Dharma Samsthapana? So some Vedantic teachers have suggested that instead of speculating about why God comes down, when God comes down, how God comes down, it is better to just recognize that periodically we see an extraordinary manifestation of power, spiritual power, and when that power descends and appears in the form of some extraordinary being, some extraordinary individual, the world gets benefited. This being comes and gifts, so to speak, many things to the world. And it is these divine treasures, these divine gifts that continue to nourish and continue to help humanity for generations to come, for centuries to come. So, one way of looking at this avatara concept is to inquire what are the gifts that this descent of the divine gives us. While each of us, when we make our own independent study, may find many different answers to this. Now what I would hope to do in the next few minutes is point out to some of the gifts that come to us when God comes down as a human being. One gift is obvious, which also was referred to by Swami Tyaganandaji Maharaj, and that is the divine form. There is a verse in the Vedantic text called Drishya Viveka. It goes like this: Asti bhati priyam rupam nama cheti amsha panchakam adyat priyam brahma rupam jagad rupam tatodvayam. Simply means that each entity, each thing, each object, each being in this world has at least 5 characteristics. The first 3 of these characteristics belong to the divine. are characteristics of Brahman, the ultimate divine reality. And the next two are the characteristics of the world. The first three, Asti, Bhati, Priyam, existence, cognizability, that is, which identifies with consciousness, and attractiveness, or a source of meaning, a source of joy. Each and every entity has these three. But in addition to these three, every object, everything that we come across in this world also has a name and form. Right from the time we wake up in the morning till we go to sleep, we are dealing with forms. If things did not have forms, we would not be able to distinguish them from each other. But one thing we have seen, and that is that forms somehow entangle us, somehow trap us. All the attachments that come to us in life come because of a certain kind of a connection, entrapment with different kinds of forms. What the divine form does, divine form is also a form, but the difference is this: holding on to a divine form, getting attached to a divine form, removes our attachment to all other forms. So, worldly forms trap us, bind us, while a divine form frees us. Now we in the Ramakrishna tradition are very fortunate because unlike the forms of the earlier descents, when the great mystics and saints saw the form of Krishna, Rama, Durga, and what they saw in their mystic vision, they described it through hymns and stotras, and that is how we have these dhyana shlokas, meditation verses. But in the case of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother and Swamiji, and many of the founding lights of our tradition, we are fortunate because of the presence of photography. So we no more have to wonder or speculate about how Thakur looked or how Holy Mother looked. So we are very blessed in that sense. So we have this divine form of Mother, and there have been many devotees, and there will be many devotees in future, meditating on this form of the Divine Mother, meditating on the forms of Holy Mother, have experienced freedom, joy, fulfillment in life. So when we begin to look at the gift that Holy Mother brings, the Sarada Devi brings to us, the first gift obviously is the form of Holy Mother. About form, there is one thing that many spiritual teachers advise, that while form can be a very helpful means to concentrate on the Divine Being, it can also, we have to be careful that we are meditating not on the form per se, but on the reality which that form represents. So when we meditate on Thakur or Mother, while a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna Holy Mother is helpful, the object of our meditation is not the photograph, but the living, real Thakur and Mother. Because what our mind dwells on, the mind realizes. We don't want to realize the photograph of Mother. We want to realize the Mother. And therefore, just like, for instance, if you like mangoes, the picture of a mango might remind you of the real mango. But you cannot eat the picture. If you want to get nourished by it, you need the real mango. In the same way, the photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, the photograph of Holy Mother, should take us towards the real, living presence of Thakur and Mother. In fact, Holy Mother herself assures us that once Mother was asked, that does Thakur really live in the picture? And the Holy Mother said, yes, he does. And then she said that when we stand before the picture of Thakur, the photograph of Thakur, and pray with intense faith and devotion, Thakur manifests in a special way in that picture. So while coming to a temple, coming to Devi, of course, is the greatest blessing that any of us can have. we also need to remember that our own little shrine, our own little private picture of Thakur and Mother at home, if we pray before it daily with devotion and intensity and sincerity and regularity, Thakur and Mother can manifest even in our own little picture at home. So that is the form of the Holy Mother is one important gift that Mother brings. The second gift that Mother brings, of course, is the name. Nama and Rupa are interconnected. And so, the name Sarada, again, we deal with names all the time. Just like a divine form frees us while worldly form binds us, exactly the same way, a divine name uplifts us. All other worldly, secular talk only drags us down. In the Upanishad, it is said, Anya Vacho Vimunchatha. Now that may not seem very practical as we go about our day-to-day activities. We do have to use a lot of words. We do have to say and do and things which are not directly connected with the divine. But if we can find a way by which everything that we do, everything that we speak, every thought that we think can at least be indirectly connected to our Ishta, to God, we will find that that has a purifying effect on us. The name in the devotional scriptures, it is pointed out that the name of God is more powerful than God Himself. Some of the things are familiar to everyone here, and that is, we are told that when the bridge was to be built to Sri Lanka, when Sita was taken away by Ravan, the monkeys, Hanuman, for instance, Hanuman took the name of Sri Rama and simply leapt across the ocean. Well, Rama himself had to build the bridge. So the power of the name of Ram took Hanuman across the ocean. But Ram himself, in fact, there is a story that one of our very senior Swamis told me some years ago. It seems that when the bridge was being built, Rama was watching all these Vanar Sena picking up huge rocks and saying, Jai Sri Ram, and putting it in water. Amazingly, the rocks floated, defying all scientific laws. Even Ram was surprised. Even Ram couldn't believe it. He said, oh, I didn't know such was the power of my name. But he still was skeptical. And so Ram wanted to test it for himself. He felt shy to do it before everyone. So he kind of went a little bit away and then picked up a little stone in his own hand. And just imagine, Rama uttering his own name and said, Jai Sri Ram, and dropped the stone. And the stone sank. Ram was very depressed. He said, these Vanaras, they have more faith in my name than I do myself. He was very sad. Fortunately, he thought no one has seen. But that was wrong. Hanuman was standing right behind. Just like a true bodyguard or a secretary, he was following Ram everywhere. And then he had noticed it. And so Ram just felt a bit embarrassed and told Hanuman, look, I took this stone and this sank. But we know Hanuman is considered Buddhimatam Varishtaha, very wise indeed. So he told his master, he told Rama, he said, of course, the stone has to sink. And then Hanuman points out, he said, as long as the stone was in your hand, it was safe. No sooner it left your hand, what else could it do but sink? And then Ram felt a bit better. I think that has a great lesson for all of us. So long as we are in the hands of God, so long as Thakur says, first we have to hold God's hand, and then when God holds our hand, then we are safe. So somehow we have to keep that connection. Once that connection is lost, then sinking occurs. What keeps us connected to God is the name of God. And therefore, when Thakur's mother they have come, one of the greatest, one of the most valuable gifts that they have brought is their divine name. So those of us who pursue our spiritual life, taking the name of Thakur and Mother, we can be sure that it's through this name, through this japa, through this repetition, that we are connected with Thakur and Mother. And so long as we are connected in this way, nothing, absolutely nothing in this world can come and harm us. That faith is the greatest strength that any spiritual seeker can hope to have. The third gift, the first gift I said was form, the second gift was name, and third gift is, again, something that Swami Tyaganandaji Maharaj repeated and mentioned through very inspiring incidents, the Leela. Sometimes it may be difficult to meditate on the still form of the Ishta, because our mind is so restless, our mind runs about here and there. We may, on occasion, find it difficult to just meditate on a still form, a form which is not moving, of our Ishta Devata. In such times, sometimes it is helpful to meditate on the incidents from the lives of these great ones. Now, when you meditate on, say, Thakur at Dakshineshwar, or on lots of incidents of Mother, even the incident of Mother when Mother came to Berulma. So when we try to visualize these incidents, the forms are moving, and which sometimes becomes easier than to meditate on a still, non-moving form. Again, meditating on these incidents from the life of Thakur and Ma purifies us. That is one reason why we need to read their biographies, read their lives, try to see how we can be connected to them, because a lot of these incidents, especially Mother's life, we can connect with it a lot. Especially, for instance, take Mother's family, for instance. A bunch of quarreling brothers and an insane sister-in-law, a mentally unstable niece. And in the midst of all of this, Mother is completely centered on the Divine Being, centered on Thakur, centered on God, and yet dealing appropriately with all of them, helping all of them. When we look at Holy Mother's family, for instance, each of us can find some parallels in our own families and relatives somewhere. And so it's easy to identify and say, if she could do it, probably she chose this kind of an environment so that the rest of us, when we try to look and try to, suppose we complain, oh, I would have had samadhi in no time, but my family members are not cooperative. Then Mother says, no, look at my family. I could do it and then you could do it too. So we do learn a lot by looking at the lives of these great ones. So the third gift that we get is the Leela. The fourth gift, I would think, is hope. One of the sad things about the times in which we live is amazing lack of hope. If we just, when you're walking along the street, or just look at the people whom you come across, and we will see it's so difficult, it's so rare to find someone completely at peace, completely at rest, completely contented, completely joyful. A lot of it, we carry with us so much anxiety, so much stress, so much worry about the future, that we don't really enjoy life. Although we may think we are enjoying life, but we are not. There is a lot of a feeling of helplessness, a feeling of just lack of hope in life. Now that doesn't mean that we are not hopeful about things. There is in the Bhagavata which is said, Ashahi paramam dukkham, nairashyam paramam sukham. Simply meaning that hope brings sorrow and being hopeless brings all joy. Now, none of us is completely hopeful and none of us is completely hopeless. We have hope about certain things and we don't have hope about certain things. What makes difference between one person and another person is what we are hopeful about and what we are not hopeful about. We will see that a lot of us are hopeful about things over which we have no control. Whether it will get less cold or more cold. Whether the stock market will go up or will go down. We have really no control over these things, and yet we keep on hoping that things would change. When we turn to spiritual life, say immediately afterwards, Dikha, oftentimes we are very hopeful, we are very enthusiastic. We feel that immediately after our initiation, our Dikha, we will do japa in no time. The mind will soar into samadhi and we'll have different kinds of darshan and all that. And unfortunately, some people do have it, or at least feel they have it, but sometimes days pass, months pass, weeks and years, nothing seems to happen. And then the mind kind of feels a little hopeless. It feels that, oh, I don't think I can achieve a lot, or I don't think I can achieve anything. Some people just give up practicing. Some people continue to practice, but not with any too great a hope. Sometimes you might see that when you sit down to meditate or sit down for your daily japa and you think, okay, now I'm going to do japa for half an hour and after that I've got to go and cook or after that I've got this duty. So when we sit and already plan for what we are going to do after our japa is over, it really means that we are fairly certain that within my next 30 minutes of japa, nothing extraordinary is going to happen. It's just a motion that I have to go through. But what does being hopeful mean? If we truly believe that Holy Mother's grace, Thakur's grace can come and enter into our life any time, and usually comes at the most unexpected hour, then how can we sit down and plan for what we are going to do after the meditation? Who knows? Perhaps when I sit for meditation today, Mother's grace may come and I may enter into samadhi. Perhaps I may become a Jivan Mukta. Now, this should not appear like if what I am saying now sounds like a joke, it means we have become hopeless. But if what I am saying now sounds like a possible thing, it shows that hope is bright in our heart. So we should not feel that I might become free today through the grace of Mother is a joke. It's a distinct possibility. And that is what hope can do. When we look at Holy Mother's life, hope comes to us. First of all, as I said, I already pointed out to the difficult circumstances of her family. What Holy Mother shows is that it matters little where we are. What is more important is how we lead our life. Just imagine my own condition. Last 10 years, I'm in the United States. While many of you here, staying in Calcutta, staying in Howrah, are able to visit Belur much so often. And I'm not able to come this often as well. So I think, especially for me, I try to remember what Holy Mother said. Because otherwise, it's easy for me to feel depressed about it and say, oh, this is such a grand, uplifting, inspiring puja and celebration here. And God knows when I'll be able to attend it again. But when we look at Mother's life and say, no, yes, it's been a great blessing to be able to participate in the celebration, but through Mother's grace, can I recreate this celebration all the time? Can we have this festival all the time? Why does Holy Mother's birthday have to come only once a year? Why can it not come every day? And of course, every day it's not possible to have a celebration like this, but we can have a celebration internally. Thakur and Mother can be born every day in our heart. In fact, every day when we do our japa and meditation, we are really trying to see the presence. Thakur and Mother are already here. We're not going to pluck them out from somewhere and put them here. But if and when, or whenever, we are able to feel and we are able to see, not just feel is just see, actually see Thakur and Ma here, we are really having a birthday celebration of our own in the heart. And I think what Holy Mother shows is that is possible. Second, of course, the reason why Holy Mother brings hope to us is the practicality of her teaching. We know the well-known teaching, which is often considered the last great message that she gave. Jadi Shanti Chama, if you want peace of mind, don't see anyone's fault, see your own fault. Very clearly, a very practical teaching. But it's not simply practical. A lot of times when a question is asked, we sometimes think that there are two ways of answering it. Either there is a practical answer or there is a philosophical answer. What Holy Mother does is she bridges the gap between philosophy and practicality. Because especially this teaching of Mother, if you want peace of mind, don't see anyone's fault, see your own fault. No one is a stranger, my child. The world is your own. This teaching, not just practical, but if we analyze every sentence of this teaching, is based on the philosophy of Advaita. Without Advaita, this saying wouldn't make sense at all philosophically. So once again, because of the practicality of the teaching, which is not divorced from scriptural accuracy, that again brings a lot of hope in our lives. And finally, of course, the reason why Holy Mother brings hope in our lives is because she is a true mother. A mother where we will never be rejected. As she said, I am the mother of the wicked as I am the mother of the virtuous. Whenever you are in distress, just say to yourself, I have a mother. Hamare Jun Ma Chen. Just imagine, when we were little babies, none of us had sleepless nights when we were babies. When we were babies, we didn't say, Kalke, Dut Pavukina, will I have milk to drink or not? We knew, oh, my mother is there, she will take care of everything. Once we grow up, why do we pass sleepless nights? Because somehow we feel, oh, now I have to take care of myself. Apanava Mane. What Holy Mother says, always remember, Amare Janma Achan. If this is not simply an intellectual concept, if this becomes a reality in our lives, Amare Janma Achan, because Holy Mother is not history. She does not belong to history. Holy Mother is still here, very much here. And as Swami Tyagananda Maharaj pointed out many incidents about how Mother's presence is felt even today. So we should not make the mistake of thinking that we are today celebrating the birthday of someone who lived long ago. No. We are celebrating the birthday of someone who is present with us today. This is not simply a picture. Mother is present here. So that is the fourth gift. And finally, the last gift is love. There's a lot of talk of love in the world, but what true love is, we understand only from Mother's life. Love is not a sentiment. Love is not a feeling. Love doesn't come from the mind at all. Love is a power. And as Swamiji pointed out, the source of all power, the source of true love, it comes from the Atman, from the deepest core of our being. And unless and until we have not touched that deepest core of our being, true love will not have grown in our heart. Love has several characteristics. First, it's universal. It does not recognize any distinction. Love is fearless. We see that in the incident in Mother's life about the Dakar Baba and Dakar Ma, how love is truly fearless. Love seeks no return. Fourth, love produces no pain, no misery, no jealousy. Fifth, love is grounded in purity. If we haven't become completely pure, true love cannot grow in our heart. And finally, sixth, love has the power to transform another life. So love is something that transforms us, and if there is true love in the heart, it transforms the other person as well. So, very briefly, I mentioned at least five gifts that come to us from Mother's life. The form of the Holy Mother, the name, the Leela, the incidents from her life. Fourth gift is hope, and the fifth gift is love. Here, when after Holy Mother's Mahasamadhi, when she lay down her outer body, Mahapurush Maharaj told the assembled sadhus and brahmacharis, where will Mother go leaving her children? She has not gone anywhere. She is now all-pervading. Previously, when she was in one place, we had to take the trouble to go and see her. Now, we need not go anywhere. Wherever we may be, if we pray to her with devotion, we will receive her grace and see her. Let me read that last sentence again. Wherever we may be, if we pray to her with devotion, we will receive her grace and see her. On this holy day, let us all join in prayer that may we feel the presence of the Holy Mother in our life, wherever we may be, that her grace may come, fill our lives with peace, joy, fulfillment, to the extent that we are able to not only experience it ourselves, but also share it with the people around us.